Hello everyone, Lawrence here from Unicorn Reviews with the most powerful, the most expensive graphics card I've ever had my hands on. Today we're looking at Asus's GTX980 Ti Matrix Platinum. It's quite a mouthful. Let's start with a physical overview. This card is massive. It's 2.5 slots thick, aka 5 centimeters. It's 29.5 centimeters long and it's 14 centimeters tall, which is the largest I've ever seen with a graphics card. Power goes through 14 phases. You feed it 2 8-pins. There's also a Molex power, but that's just for the memory defroster if you want to use LN2. There are 2 giant fans on there, and these fans are mostly quiet, but they are audible in games or when doing extreme overclocking. The GPU has 2816 CUDA cores, which is great for editing videos and stuff like that. They run at 1260 MHz stock, but of course GPU Boost 2.0 will take that through the roof up to 1400 on stock settings really. Now you get 6 GB of GDDR5 RAM. That's on a 384-bit interface. It runs stock at 7200 MHz. Being a flagship card, this supports all the current nvidia technologies like G-Sync and Turbo Boost 2.0. If you want to use multiple cards, there is support for 4-way SLI. Of course, you'd be pretty stupid to actually do that unless for extreme benchmarking. In terms of I/O, there is a single DVI port, 1 HDMI 2.0 port and 3 display ports. All of those are gold plated. Back to the cooler, it's a huge cooler. I love the fact that it's black. It's this matte black, looks absolutely amazing. On the outside there's this 10mm heat pipe, and then on the inside towards the motherboard there are multiple 6mm heat pipes. There's also a ROG light to indicate usage. Kind of wish that you could use that to just set it to a fixed color because it is an RGB light. The cooler has a plastic shroud. Of course, everything's plastic these days, but the backplate, that is made out of gorgeous brushed aluminium with branding on there for the Matrix and the 980 Ti stuff. And this is actually in the correct orientation, which is the thumbs up there, because a lot of companies get that wrong. On the end of the card there is a button, and we all know I love buttons. What this button does is it resets the graphics card's BIOS. It'll also turn the light green, which I guess is cool. There is a switch for LN2 mode. Obviously LN2 is awesome. I just don't have one or don't have pots, or I've never actually done it. Just know it's awesome. There's also a switch on the back to use that defroster if you really have to use something like that. Overall, this card though, it looks bloody awesome. Of course, you don't buy a graphics card purely for the look. So let's see how this one performs. Of course, being a 980 Ti, being Asus's flagship model, it shouldn't come as a surprise that this is by far the fastest card I have ever tested. It's also a very cool card. I'm just going to run the performance numbers on your screen right now. You can also download the entire GPU testing database in the description below, so you can have a closer look yourself. So this card is incredibly cool at only 68 degrees, but it does put out a huge amount of heat to the point where it's actually hard to touch the rear fan grille on my case. That being said, my case isn't the best in terms of airflow. Now, I've done my overclocking for 24/7 overclocking, extreme overclocking, and I can't help but feel that this core is just limited by physics, nothing else. So the cooler is more than adequate, and it's just limited by nvidia's power limit that they want to send through the core and the memory, and I kind of just overclocked the core more and left the memory at only 8 GHz, despite the fact that it can go way beyond 8 GHz if you leave alone the core. So conclusion time on this Asus flagship, the GTX980 Ti Matrix Platinum. It's quite a mouthful, and it's also a massive handful because it's just huge. But I absolutely love this card, and I'm just going to make up some excuses as to why I can't give it back to Asus, because I'm kind of sure they want to have it back, but I may just flee off to Mexico or something like that because this card is awesome. I want to keep it. Now, it is really expensive, but that is not actually the point with this card. Asus has cards that are great value for money. This one is just Asus showing off just how awesome they can make a graphics card. And they've really done that. The only negative I have with this card is the fact that I can't set the RGB light to orange, for example, and just have it set there. That would be a really awesome update to the software. Right then guys, so if you like this video, press that like button. If you didn't like this video, there's always the dislike button. Leave a comment, let me know what you think about products like this, which aren't value for money, but they're just companies showing off how awesome they can be. All that sort of stuff. Questions, comments, everything below the video. If you want to follow me, there's Facebook, there's Twitter, all linked below. And you can also support the channel on Patreon. For now, thank you very much for watching.